Burgess here with Music Marketing TV. Today we're going to be looking at the BA-1 and how to add vibrato to almost any patch. We'll talk about why it's almost any patch here in a bit. First, I have this line I'd really like to add some vibrato to. I'm going to play it in. It sounds like this. That's the line, right? And I'd probably loop it of sorts, but I'd like this high note, or not the highest note, but that note. I wanted to have some vibrato. If you've never messed with vibrato, vibrato is a variation in pitch. Singers use it all the time to add a lot of expression. Saxophone, probably super famous for it. Think Kenny G. So let's talk about how do we add this cool effect to it. So vibrato is fundamentally a variation in frequency. It's a variation in pitch over time. So we're going to use an LFO to do this. An LFO stands for low frequency oscillator, and it will allow us to vary something slowly over time, which is exactly what vibrato is. So down here in the corner, we've got an LFO. We want it to go to oscillator 1. We have two targets available. We have a filter and an oscillator. We want it to go to the oscillator so that we can vary the frequency over time. So we're going to choose oscillator 1. The amount is how much it can vary by, so we'll make this very high because we want it to vary a lot. That's the whole point of vibrato. It's a larger variation in frequency. And then we're going to have a faster speed. This is how quickly it's allowed to vary. Sounds like this now. Perfect. The problem is this is on all the time. Probably don't want that. So in order to only bring it on at certain times, you can either automate this or link it to a control and turn it on and off like yourself when you're playing. That's the way I'm going to go for this. So to do that, I'd like the mod wheel on my keyboard. Oh, it's already hooked up. Oh, perfect. To do this. Now, if your mod wheel isn't already magically hooked up, you can come up here to MIDI CC, turn on MIDI learn, move the control, move your mod wheel, and click this knob. There's another video where we talk about this, and I said this a little out of order. You need to click this first, then move your two controls, and it should be linked up. But there's another video, you can go check that out if you want to see how to hook up controls, hardware controls, to BA-1. So now I can do stuff like this. You know, toss it in, just sprinkle it in wherever you feel like it should go. But it's really that simple. Now, this technique only works on some patches for a few reasons. First, some sounds just really don't work towards vibrato. For example, if a percussive sounds often don't want to have vibrato on them, sounds with heavy amounts of distortion, but things that have strong lead properties and they're very harmonically simple will work very well for this. For example, another patch that comes to mind in here is the square wave patch down here. So there's this square wave patch. It is very harmonically simple and has a really strong lead property. Square waves just kind of be like that. And so as I move this, and what's nice is the MIDI CC is remembered between patch changes. Now, on this patch, it actually won't work exactly right out of the box. And the reason for this is oscillator 2 is being used, not oscillator 1. And our target here is only oscillator 1. That's why I said for most patches. So in this case, it's a pretty simple fix. We'll just go to oscillator 1, make sure we're also using a square wave. We'll switch our target to oscillator 1, and we'll move our speed and our amount accordingly, like how we talked about earlier. And now it works. Now, we may make some trade-offs when we choose to do something like this. For example, if the filter is being used and we want the filter to move over time instead of the frequency of oscillator 1, well, that's something we would be, sort of giving up. And we would have to find another way to introduce a filter if we want to use a filter. Or we could try and accomplish this same LFO move outside of the synthesizer in some way, using something else to control the frequency, like a pitch shifter or something. But typically, you're going to want to do it this way. It's usually going to sound the best. And it's just integrated. It's right there. It's a great move. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos. And have a blessed day.